Welcome back, one and all, to the Control Your Epps-perience podcast. I am Alan Epps, the namesake. Hoping this week finds you well, and also hoping you guys had a chance to catch my triumphant return to Facebook. I decided to do so with a Facebook Live edition of the podcast, which I haven't got to YouTube yet because the website is giving me issues on getting the audio down. I don't know if it was Facebook that was messing up or the streaming service that I used to do it to the multiple pages or what, but the audio was giving us issues during the broadcast. I think I finally got one down, and that we went for a good 3 hours, myself and the lovely Romeo Washington. She didn't give me any socials to plug, so if you can try to find her on Facebook and maybe she'll add you. But yeah, we had a really good conversation. We touched on a bunch of stuff, mainly about the expectations of black men of black women and vice versa, and some other nonsense that was going on. It was a great conversation. And again, if any of you listening want to either call into the podcast, we can either do so like right now, which is going to be pre-recorded, but I have equipment where if you have a phone, you call in, I can record you, or if you do it on Facebook Messenger, I can capture the video. It's really up to you if you just want to do audio or video. Or, of course, we can use Facebook Live like we did with Romeo, and you can be a guest on the show. It's kind of cool that I have the equipment to do so, but I imagine a lot of people are doing this in the whole COVID situation, especially with the second lockdown looming. So again, you guys drive the show. As far as I still have yet to receive any kind of, like, I don't want to say fan mail, but any kind of things you guys want me to talk about. Again, askaeps@gmail.com or Control Your Epps-perience with underscores separating the words on Instagram, or at the pen is mightier with pen is spelled like penis with a Z. Mightier on Twitter.com. Twitter.com. What am I even saying? Y'all know where it's at. But yeah, I welcome any and all guests, male, female, or otherwise, on the show. With that said, let's get into what's happening this week. Sports news. I've really kind of been detached from football. And that's no small thing that my Cowboys are just falling apart. And then on top of that, now, my fantasy team, I was in 4 leagues, 3 of which were pay leagues. Of the pay leagues, 1 of which is the same league that last year they moved to draft day, so I couldn't draft. They did that shit on purpose, and I ran the table and beat their asses with an auto-drafted squad. This year, I was poised to do so again because they suck, but literally every steal, I got some people that should not have been available, or I got them ahead of the trends and everything like that. Yeah, they all got hurt. And even then, I still could have made it to the playoffs, but people were putting up record amounts of points on me. Like, I think I had the highest points scored against in the league. So I didn't make the playoffs in that one. But that was only like a $20 volume, whatever. Of the 2 remaining pay leagues, I finished first in both of those in the regular season. And I won last week in the playoffs, but now I'm about to get bounced out because of Derek Carr's bitch ass. And like literally everybody either being hurt or not showing up. I do take responsibility in one, trusting Derek Carr in the first place, but the matchup was just too good. Like, all he had to do was not suck and not get hurt. And then 2, I don't know what happened. I picked up Buffalo's defense and their kicker, but for some reason when I set the lineup, it didn't go in. So I left a bunch of points on the board. But again, in true form, my opponent is scoring record amounts of points. So even though I left a shit ton of points on my bench, I don't even think that's going to make an issue. So it is what it is. And of the 1 free league that I was in, which I don't even know why, this is one of my pay leagues normally, but for whatever reason, they decided to make it a free league. I, again, ran the table. I think I beat everybody by the regular season by at least 3 wins. And I'm getting bounced out because nobody's scoring. And my other team is putting up record numbers. So, yeah, that's me in football. But for those of you still interested in the actual game, so Carson Wentz got benched, I want to say last week or the week before. And Jalen Hurts got to make his first start because Carson's been struggling all year. And I kind of touched it on the last pod where, Carson was named their franchise quarterback and got his contract a year or 2 before Dax even came up. And everybody was, holding him to the measure. Like, they came in at the same time. Or I don't know if they were the same time, but they're always pit against each other. because they're in the same division, and then Carson Wentz came out of nowhere and was expected to do good, and yeah, did good from hit the ground running. Whatever. Well, Carson's been falling off, but this is after Carson got a monster contract. And again, I don't play GM, but a bunch of dudes in my group text do, and they said, we're all Cowboys fans for the most part, except for one dude who is a Cowboys hater, so at any point in time, he's an Eagles fan, he's a Falcons fan, he's whatever. He don't know what he want to be. But anyway, shout out Jason. But, yeah, they're all telling me that Philly is going to have salary cap problems, not just this year, but the next 2 years, just based on people that they have signed. And I don't know if that's because of Darius Slay, but I know a big part of that is Carson Wentz and that monster contract he got. So with that, if Jalen keeps performing like, he won one or two games, it's too small of a sample size, but and he's still in a rookie contract, so it makes sense from a organizational standpoint that if he does ball out, what he's doing is increasing his trade value, because they would have to get rid of one of these. You don't want to. Quarterback controversies are only good at camp to make the other person perform more, but during the regular season, that is not what you want. And obviously, you want a good backup just in case because people get hurt every day. That's how Nick Foles won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. But you don't want, especially with that fan base, is kind of like the Redskins, except pissier, where they don't deserve nice things. So the second a quarterback, it could not even been the quarterback's fault, but the second they don't win a game that people feel like they should, it's all, oh, why didn't you start this guy? Why didn't you start that guy? And you don't want to feed into that. So you would think they would have to trade Jalen, and there's going to be other teams looking for quarterbacks like Jacksonville, Chicago. I don't know. I'm not going to go down the whole NFL. But the point is, there's people looking for quarterbacks and that are not going to be in the running for Trevor Lawrence this year. So Jalen could theoretically end up somewhere starting. But then there's the whole, if he balls out, kind of like, let's say he finishes the season kind of like the way Dak did when Tony went down, do you let him go? Or do you just charge this season up to Carson Wentz having an off year, he's bound to bounce back again? Or do you move on? And if so, if the answer is to move on, what do you have to give up to get another team to take that contract from you? Because that shit is insane. And now they're going to get hamstrung. So to sweeten that deal, you got to give up some more draft picks. So you're fucked either way. And then the funniest part of this, though, that's just from an organizational standpoint. Like I said, I don't play GM. Carson has come out and said, I'm not interested in being a backup quarterback. What quarterback is in the NFL? You didn't get there by being content to be a bench warmer, but it's supposed to be a meritocracy. And again, shout out to the supposed to be, because we all know there's a certain quarterback who should be in the league right now and isn't, but whatever. But he says he doesn't want to be a backup. Then play better, motherfucker. What the fuck's wrong with you? So that's funny to me, and that just goes to speak to the entitlement of it all. And don't get me wrong, I was a Carson Wentz fan before he became an Eagle, because I was stationed in North Dakota at Minot Air Force Base. Again, if you're brown, don't ever go there. There's nothing up there for you. But the University of North Dakota was, a big deal up there, and that's where Carson Wentz went. He set every Divisional II record. They went undefeated a couple of times. So he was a big deal coming out of North Dakota, and just as a sleeper prospect to get drafted and be a franchise quarterback. Of course, the knock is the level of competition at Division II, but just like App State, they had beat a couple of Division I teams and beat them bad, and he looked good doing it. So I had known about Carson Wentz, and I wanted to see him succeed until he went to the Eagles. But, yeah. So, I don't think he's done in this league. I think he'll get another shot. I still think he's a good quarterback, a decent quarterback, a lot better than some other starters. He's just having a bad year, along with the fact that that team can't block anybody. But it is what it is. Also in sports, Naomi Osaga. So this is old news, but I feel like a lot of people don't know this, because I've gotten into several arguments about, mostly when she won, I want to say it was the U.S. Open or Wimbledon, one of them, but the whole thing was overshadowed because her boyfriend, I don't know if they're still together, but then known as YBN Corday, he's since dropped the YBN. They posed, They did the acceptance, and he was up there like doing a Birdman hand rub, looking like an evil villain. But then afterwards, when everybody was gone, they did their own little photos, and Corday was flipping the bird, and everybody was talking about, oh, this looks terrible. And I was like, shut the respectability politics up. And then a bunch of people were saying, well, she just wants to seem cool, and she's just. Oh, that's the other thing. Earlier in the match, she had made this statement because she was having a mask on with that had the names of people who were killed by police. And one of the reporters was like, "Are you trying to make a statement?" And she was like, "I think it speaks for itself," and rah, 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 mad quotables. And then a lot of people were questioning how genuine it was, whether or not it was disingenuous, because, they basically, what it boils down to is they view her as less black because she's mixed, because she plays tennis, because she's got, her last name is Osaka, all these other dumbass reasons where people like to gatekeep people's blackness. Well, that person who you guys like to gatekeep, she literally puts her money where her mouth is. And this happened back in August. So, let me read it for you. So, just hours after reaching the semifinal round of the Western and Southern Open, which is an American tournament, mind you, this was at the end of August 27th, Naomi Osaga pulled out of the tournament following the shooting of Jacob Blake in the United States. Two-time grand champion Osaga defeated Annette Contaviet, but she decided to take a stand against racial injustice after Blake, an unarmed black man, was shot in the back by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin, as he leaned into his car. You guys will recall that this is the shooting that would eventually lead to the riots in which Kyle Rittenhouse shot those 3 people. Blake survived and is recovering in the hospital, but his lawyers said it would be a miracle for him to walk again. So I'll read her statement, and this is on her Instagram. Hello, as many of you are aware, I was scheduled to play my semifinals match tomorrow. However, before I am an athlete, I am a black woman. And as a black woman, I feel as though there are much more important matters at hand that need immediate attention rather than watching me play tennis. I don't expect anything drastic to happen with me not playing, but if I can get a conversation started in a majority white sport, I consider that a step in the right direction. Watching the continued genocide of black people at the hands of police is honestly making me sick to my stomach. I'm exhausted of having a new hashtag pop up every few days, and I'm extremely tired of having the same conversation over and over and over again. When will it ever be enough? This was August 26th, okay? And while this wasn't one of the huge tennis tournaments, she walked away for some money. I'm sure she was a favorite to win this, so that's a check, and a significant check that is more money than most people who are talking about her will ever have in life, let alone will give up over her cause. So, yeah, shout out to Naomi. That's literally what's up. We got to protect her at all costs. At all costs. So, off of sports, let's get into entertainment. So, Lil Wayne apparently got the internet buzzing because he made, he's not the only one. There's been some other artists who have been selling their masters for record amounts of money. One of them did it for like $300 million. Let me see here. I don't know what did. It was somebody big. But I know one of them went for like $300 million. It really doesn't matter who it is. But the point is, these are like well-known artists who are like older and everything like that. They have catalog. Bob Dylan, I want to say it was. Yeah. Let me see. Bob Dylan Sell Masters. Bob Dylan. Need to hire me a screen. Yeah, there you go. Universal Music Group is acquiring Bob Dylan's entire song catalog, which spans 6 decades, includes many of the most iconic tracks in history. Didn't disclose the price of the deal, but it was worth more than $200 million. I believe the final number was around 300. At least that's what I got from Joe Budden and anybody else with an internet connection. But with that, Lil Wayne selling his masters, to many of us in the culture feel like, okay, Wayne is probably one of, if not the most prolific, Jay-Z maybe, in terms of longevity and just sheer amount of music put out in the hip-hop community. Of course, in Tupac. But you got to put that in perspective, which nobody does. They just immediately assume, they conjure up a number in their head. Well, that white man who I don't listen to and don't know got $300 million. Wayne got to do numbers, right? So I think the first eyebrow raise was that the reported number was $100 million, which seems lowball if you have that frame of thought. And then 2, why he would sell his masters, because he's nowhere near as old as Bob Dylan. And in theory, he could still make a lot more money off of this. At least that's the assumption. Assumption by people not in the music business, including myself. And I don't pretend to be an expert on all this, but I can do a few things. I can extrapolate a thought process and then admit that one, I don't fucking know, but based on what I've seen happen and what I've seen other people do, and keep in mind, what I do in real life, like how I make my money, I am an estimator. And one of my core competencies is not only to be able to tell when a vehicle has been destroyed, or if it doesn't make cost benefit sense to repair it, but if I decide to total it out, I have to make a settlement offer to a customer. And that settlement offer is based on the value of the car. And the value is not only just because of what type of car it is, what year, but I have to rate the conditions of the car, like the state it was prior to the accident. I have to account for all the features, if it's got heated seats, Bluetooth this, whatever. And then I have to send it off. I don't physically do this, but I send it off to a company who is the industry standard. But they go and they find comparable vehicles in the area to find the value of it. Where I come back in is I get this number from them, I give it to the customer, and I would say out of every 10 customers, 3 or 4 of them, oh, that's not enough money, it's worth more than this. And mind you, very rarely do any of these people have any background in automobiles. Do they have any? Their main contention is, well, if I want to buy a new car, I can't buy a new car for this, but that's not what I'm paying you for. I'm not paying you to buy a new car. I'm paying you based on the value of your current car. And cars are an asset that depreciate, which escapes most people. Okay, so whereas a Masters, it's assumed that it appreciates, and I guess we've seen that. That's a solid assumption, because we've all heard of artists who go broke because they don't own their music, they don't own their masters, they don't own the rights to their music, and meanwhile other people are sampling their songs and getting rich. And not just the artists who are sampling their songs, but the labels behind all of this are getting a payday, while you have artists who are broke. So the age-old adage, especially, where we've seen this, is own your masters, own the right to your music, yada yada. But beyond that, people mostly don't understand what that means. They just think if you own the master, oh, okay, this is going to magically make you money. First of all, I could have a mixtape right now and own all my, and you don't know what. All right, I'm just going to read this because I wrote this on Facebook. So the main reason I could see Lil Wayne selling his masters is because he is about to go to jail. For those of you who don't know, he just pled guilty to a federal weapons charge he was on a private jet, and they found him with a pistol or several pistols, gold-plated pistols at that. And if you didn't know, Lil Wayne is a felon, meaning that he is not able to own a firearm or be in possession of a firearm. Now, his previous felony was for firearms. Even though he is not a violent offender or anything like that, he is by law not allowed to have a firearm. So he was facing up to 15 years or something like that, and he basically pled out, assuming he's going to get a deal or some short like that, but he doesn't know. So the only thing I can see is that he's trying to sell and get liquid assets as much as possible, because depending on how long he's away, who knows what people can make decisions surrounding his estate and everything like that, and he's in jail, he can't fight this shit, and now he comes out to nothing. So he's trying to get liquid assets that I'm sure he's going to squirrel away in some foreign bank account somewhere or some investment where. So if and when he gets out, I'm not going to say if. Oh yeah, if, because I guess he could die in jail with COVID and it being jail and shit. But when he gets out, that he has cash in hand and he doesn't have to worry about that other stuff. Assuming that Trump doesn't pardon him. He's been doing a lot of cooning for Trump, so maybe Trump pardons him. I don't know. Who knows what Donnie's going to do. The second thing is, like I said, people who value his catalog at over 100 million have no idea what they're talking about. And I don't say that to be pejorative, because I don't know what I'm talking about. So I know you don't. Again, not because I think I'm smarter than you, but we probably come from the same background as far as not knowing what the fuck is going on in the music business. But I can tell you this: for you to know what something is worth, you have to have been shopping in the market for it. And if you think it's over 100 million, you don't even have 1 million. So how do you know what it costs? And if you would pay that beyond your own sentimentality, beyond what you think the music is worth, just based on other people who've gotten rich in the music business. Never mind the how, never mind the business behind it. You think that they got rich because this song was a better song than others. That's not the case. There are people who are one-hit wonders who still have more money than people who put out hella albums based on the business that they've done behind the scenes. And vice versa. Alright? So you don't know what any one song, let alone his entire catalog, is worth. And then two, What dictates what something is worth is what another person will pay for it. If you think it's over $100 million, but you don't have over $100 million to pay for it, then it's not worth that. Kind of like when people think that their beloved 98 Tercel is worth more than what it is because they think it's a classic car just because it's old. And I'm sorry, sir, but no, it's not. Take the settlement, get out of my face. Versus if you were to say take an 80s Fox body Mustang, those have retained, if not appreciated, because of what's happened to them aftermarket. People turn those into track cars, just like old Miatas. People turn those into tuner cars. So people will pay for broken down, busted out Miatas that still have decent guts. You know, they're not rusted over more than they will pay for a running 98 Tercel because it's a piece of shit. Like, nobody wants this. You can't do anything with it. So value is, at the end of the day, what somebody else will pay for it. And clearly, nobody was beating down his door to pay him more than $100 million for his catalog. But then, and again, I'm not a musical guy, so I didn't really want to get into this anyway, well, too deep into it. Now, reports are that he didn't even sell his masters. That he allegedly sold Young Money's and Drake's and Nicki Minaj's, which if that's the case, that makes a lot more sense for the price tag, because Drake's got his own label now, so I'm sure he owns most of his newer stuff. And then two, yeah, out of the collabos with Wayne, who really cares about Young Money? I was confused because I thought Birdman probably still owned a lot of Wayne shit. I know he fought tooth and nail. It took him forever to get out of his own recording contract where he didn't owe him any more albums. But I'm sure he didn't just give him back his old masters. So that's 2 points. 3, like I said, most people not only don't know what weight a master has, you don't even know what a master is. Okay, you just associate this with something that an artist should have to not go poor. And what it is a master recording, meaning that when a song was first made, I have the original right here, meaning that if you want to sample my shit, you need this because this is the good quality of it. Otherwise, you're going to be recording it off the internet or the radio, and it's going to sound like shit, and you're not going to be able to manipulate the file in a studio the way you want to. So unless you want this master. And if you want the rights to it, you need to pay me. Okay? That's what it is. That used to be how it is. But now in the digital age and streaming age, not so much. That's the next point. Nobody knows what the digital and streaming era is doing to the music scene. And again, not to bite the Joe Budden podcast, but they said it. Nobody will tell the creators what a stream is worth, because once creators know that, they can charge what the fuck they want. And they don't want to do that. Somebody knows what it's worth, but nobody's releasing that information because it behooves the DSPs to not have that information out there, because then they can set the market based on what they want. All right. So, in a market that is changing all the time, and it could change and make the master more valuable. I don't fucking know, but everything is saying that it's not. So yeah, Bob Dylan could just be old and just want his $300 million payday and not care. But from what we know about white people and old money, they don't just throw away wealth. They keep that shit in their family. And I'm sure Bob Dylan was not hurting for money before this $300 million acquisition, so why sell it now? Who knows? But yeah, that's what I'm saying. The price tag was low. I think I already touched on my next point about him only selling Drake and Nicki stuff. But none of us were in the room. We don't know what the deets of that deal were. The main thing that I think we can all agree on is that you were one of the idiots that was, back when they were doing the hypothetical about if you could have X amount of money, I think it was like $1 million or $2 million or an 800 credit score, which one would you take? And a lot of you wannabe gurus were saying the credit score, like none of you have $1 million or have ever touched $1 million. So what exactly is on your credit report that you could not wipe out, pay in full and everything with $1 million and then have another $1 million to do whatever startup business or to blow on coke and hookers that you wanted to do? But you idiots still want the 800 credit score because of opportunity. It's just like the same idiots that said that if you could get a brunch or a lunch date with Jay-Z or $50,000 or whatever the amount of money, which one would you take? And all you fake deep niggas was, I'll go to the lunch with Jay-Z because he's going to put me on game and I can talk to him and we can set up something for the future. And that nigga's going to tell you should have took the money and eat a hot dog and bounce. So yeah, y'all need to stop this shit. And just understand that that's the last point, the established creator does have power. Because even if he sells the masters, he is a creator, she is a creator. They can make this shit again. Meaning they can go and remaster, make a whole new version of the song. It could sound exactly the same, or it could be a remix. But the benefit is they probably, depending on the era, they probably did this, 10, 15, 20 years ago when, when they first started. This might have been their smash first single off their first, body of work. But they did this in their bathroom or, at their friend's house with the 8 cartons on the wall. Now they're remastering it in a studio with better producers, better engineers, better mixers, and it just sounds night and day. And then on top of that, since they're back in the studio but doing the same thing, and they're collaborating with artists who grew up listening to them, who want to get on it, who want tour opportunities, remix opportunities. It's back. This classic song has the nostalgia factor, but it's been modernized. It gets to the top of the charts. All kinds of new opportunities, and now you own the new master, and you're diluting the value of the old master that they paid you a grip for. So there's tons of reason, at least at face value, where this might be a lucrative endeavor. It just really comes down to the amount of money and what they could have got from it elsewhere, which none of you motherfuckers know, but all of you got something to say about, oh, this is dumb, he's a coon. And don't get me wrong, Lil Wayne is quite the coon, but I think he's got fucked over enough that he's not trying to do it again. And then again, his circumstances are changing because the very real threat of federal fuck me in the ass program. Not that he's gonna get raped or anything. I'm sure he's gonna be an ad seg, but the threat of being away by himself without Drake and Nicki propping him up because they're doing their own thing is very real. And I don't think he's cultivated anybody new after them. So who knows? But yeah. That's my take on Wayne and his album situation. Moving on to other troubled artists. So Johnny Depp, it's reported that Disney has kind of pushed him out of ever coming back as Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, which, aside from the complete and utter disrespect of this following him getting kicked off of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Pirates of the Caribbean jumped the shark several. I don't even know what movie they're on. I think 3. What was 3? The Curse of Black Pearl? I don't know. 3 or 4 was when I just, alright, I don't need to see this anymore. But there is no Pirates of the Caribbean without Captain Jack Sparrow. What the fuck? And then there's no Captain Jack Sparrow without Johnny Depp. I don't care to see anybody else do that role. So it just goes to show that, and again, you can't sympathize again with Johnny too much because we weren't in his relationship, and you can't tell me he was a total victim during this whole time. But what I am saying is that his Amber Heard, the chick who's putting him through all this, and has been proven to be toxic and abusive, is facing none of these consequences. None. It just goes to show. I mean, he kind of played himself because he dumped his day one for her, but you hate to see it. But to other artists, the iconic Tom Cruise was caught on audio. It sounded like it was a cell phone audio. I'm going to play it for you guys, or at least part of it, because it goes on for like 3 minutes, and some of it's redundant, but I don't want to spend the whole too much time on this. But he was caught because they're doing Mission Impossible 7, and I think they're in Europe filming somewhere. And some of his, staff members, they didn't say who it was or what their jobs were found to have broken the COVID-19 protocols. And he just started tearing into them. So I'm going to play some of that for you guys right now.
Standard. You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us! Because they believe in us and what we're doing! I'm on the phone with every studio at night.
Oh, he mad, man.
Insurance companies. Producers. And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs.
Let the motherfucker go.
I don't ever want to see it again.
Oh, he pissed.
Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. If you ever do it again. That's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. Food on their table. And pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night.
Yeah, that's enough of that. It goes on for like another minute and a half, 2 minutes. Yeah, about 2 minutes. But Yeah, man. I mean, at face value, good on him because people are fucking around, dude. Like, I got a friend of mine. Well, he's my sister's friend, but he's my friend because he's gonna teach me how to drift one day when outside is open. But he's actually a stunt guy for a lot of these movies. He's worked with Tom Cruise among others. He's gonna be in the James Bond movie that comes out. When you guys see that chase across the bridge with the motorcycle in the car, he's doing the chase. So I believe he's on the motorcycle. So yeah, shout out to him. His name's Alistair, by the way. But yeah, like Hollywood is hurting. Just like, and Hollywood's not just the Tom Cruises, the filthy rich millionaires, and the big wig producers. There are people who are grips. I don't even know what a grip is, but you know, the people who the boom mics, who the lighting, the stunt people. There's so many people who eat off of a blockbuster Hollywood production that can't eat because outside is closed. So at face value, you like to hear that one, they've at least taken some sort of precautions to create like a bubble like the NBA or whatever, but then two, that they're holding their own people accountable. Now, of course, there's people who got everything to say about it. Leah Remini, if you ever watch Kings of Queens, she was the wife of Kevin on there. And she's been beefing with Tom Cruise for years because of Scientology. She felt like it was a cult and they did it wrong. And, you know, I'm inclined to believe her. And I'm a fan of Leah Remini because in addition to just being funny, she's fine as hell for a thick Jersey white woman. But anyway, so she, every time Tom does something, she's got something to say about it because of Scientology. And I'm sure there's some veracity to it. But she's calling it a publicity stunt, which I could see that, you know. But why? Because people are going to watch. It's Tom Cruise. It's not like somebody who's struggling to get their movie off the ground or anything. Like, people are going to watch fucking Mission Impossible. Like, so, whatever. But man, there's that angle. And then there's people who, oh, he's got the right message, but he's delivering it in entirely wrong way. Berating people is not the way to do it. Get the fuck out of here. Because when you don't scream at people, you have stupid shit like this little white girl going to the Cayman to chase her boyfriend, but I guess he's like in a jet ski contest. Hold on, let me look at it. White girl, Cayman, arrested. Racist ass Google search. Yes, here it is. U.S. college student Skylar Mack is jailed in the Cayman Islands for breaking quarantine rules. Let me see if this video will play.
A healthy home start?
Oh, let's mute that until this damn commercial goes away. But, I mean, and I've decided that the Cayman is going to be my my next destination when I'm not poor and outside is open, because
college student is facing 4 months in prison in the Cayman Islands for violating strict COVID-19 rules. 18-year-old Skylar Mack pleaded guilty to breaking quarantine. The Georgia native and her boyfriend were jailed on Tuesday after a judge sided with prosecutors who wanted to discourage others from making the same choice. Their lawyer will argue for a less severe sentence next week.
Fuck them. Oh, that video blow. So Skylar Mack is 18, of Georgia. Who guessed it? I mean, they don't give a shit.
U.S. waterproofing.
And her boyfriend, Vanjay Ramjeet, who sounds quite Indian. Let me see if I can Google an image of him. But he's also 24. So, 18, 24. I'm looking at him. Yeah, he's pretty tan. I would have guessed he was a white boy, though. He was doing some kind of jet ski competition, and I'm sure he had cleared it, the protocol to be in the competition, but she wanted to go see him, and I only know this because I recently almost got flued out. I was supposed to go to Puerto Rico, but Shorty, who wanted to fly me out, decided this on a whim, and didn't realize that we needed a COVID test, and then it couldn't be the rapid test, and it had to be within the 3 days. It was a whole thing. So I know that this is real, and these countries don't play about this shit. And yeah, so they got Mac is a pre-med student at that in Mercer University. So she should be giving a fuck, and she don't give it a fuck. But she was supposed to go through a 2-week quarantine. But she was seen on the beach with her boyfriend, canoodling and just walking amongst crowds and everything like that with no mask and everything like that. So the Cayman locked her ass up, and they sentenced her to 4 months. And I actually got a homie in the Cayman, shout out Michelle, who runs a boat, fishing and a boat charter down there. And yeah, she was like, yeah, they needed to hear this shit. Like, I just love stories where white privilege be getting people fucked in the ass royally. And they find out that though white supremacy is a global phenomenon, there are people who are just not putting up with this shit. And it just goes to show you how much more serious other countries took this virus and why their outsides are open. And here we are, the most advanced, richest, most privileged country in the world, about to get locked down again. And people are still fighting it. Like the badass kids who, oh, I don't want outside to be closed, but I don't want people to die. The same people say, remember 9/11 when a 9/11 is happening every day in terms of death toll with this virus. So shout out to the Cayman. I can't wait till I'm unbroke. Come down there and fuck with Michelle and them. Yeah, good talk. What's next? So I guess we can get back on celebrities being stupid. T.I. back in the internet buzz again for his comments about the time spent with his daughter and him referring to it as thought prevention. And you know, this is funny. I don't think this would have been a story if it was phrased differently and if it was anybody else, but T.I.'s, oh, I gotta be the pinnacle of, you know, what it is to be smart and a father, but he does everything but. So at face value, I don't think anybody has a problem with the merit of what he was saying, because that's what a lot of women say, is that, you know, the woman's first love is her father, and that relationship's important because it sets her up to know what to expect from men and how to value herself, and yada, 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 which I'm not saying is hogwash with this tone of voice. I'm just saying that's a common trope that is echoed by so many women out there. So that's what he's saying. He's doing that. But at the same time, this is the same dude who was policing his daughter's hymen while allowing his son to go out there and bust in everything. And then his rationale behind that being, you know, shaming her in the public and everything. Oh, she better not be out here fucking, but your son is bringing home kids. And he's like, well, if that kid is born to my daughter, then I got to deal with that. So you don't have to deal with your fucking grandchild through your son? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so it just goes to show that no matter how rich a dude is and how much he appears to provide for his family, he can still be a fuckboy. And then on top of that, what about the fact that you're cheating on his mother at every opportunity, or their mother at every opportunity? So yeah, you can be spending all the time with the little girl if you want, but if you're disrespecting her mom, how do you think she's going to internalize that? So you are the very last nigga that anybody needs to be taking parenting advice. I don't care if you got a show and all your kids are eating and everything like that. So what? So what? Because if you were still had to hustle, you wouldn't have the time to be bullshitting and doing all this shit. So what it comes down to is the quality of fatherhood you are. Now, this could very well just be a vehicle to remain, I won't say remain relevant, but to keep people buzzing, to watch his show and everything. And I recognize that. I feel like he is somewhat of a savvy businessman. So that might have been it. But he also seems like the type of person who just loves to hear him talk. I know I'm doing a fucking podcast by myself, so who am I to talk? And he really believes in the shit that he says and wants to be known as a quotable person, as to leave a proverb. I think that's what he wants. He wants somebody to just grab one of his quotes and put it on a shirt and be like, yeah, I did that. You know? And that's why he says this dumb shit. Versus somebody like Snoop Dogg, who is the embodiment of the recently sanctified types, who has joined the latest controversy, not even controversy, the latest horde of people to have everything to say about Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's WAP, about how it's too vulgar and it leaves nothing to the imagination and this, that, and the third. And we're like, sir, your whole first album was Doggy Style, and on the artwork, you literally got a dude like trying to poke a girl dog in the butt. You also took two young women 17 years ago to the VMAs on the red carpet wearing see-through mesh shirts with pasties over their titties and collars on their necks, which you were leading them in. And my nigga, you did a porno. You didn't do the porno, but you were rapping in the porno while the chicks were doing porno shit behind you. Shout out Obsession and Caramel. Lord Jesus. OGs in the ebony porno game. Like, where the fuck do you get off? And yeah, I get it now. You're doing gospel and reggae and all that shit, but you know, I got into an argument with a fuckboy who accused me of pandering. Mind you, this nigga, he's wearing velour suits in 2020, and he's got just this squared jelly bean head, and of course he got his one, which I'm sure his shorty don't deserve this because she didn't do nothing. I think they're married, they got kids, beautiful family, but let's just say if she was single, I wouldn't look at her twice. You know what I mean? Like, but because he got her, oh, this is what I'm like, nigga, so, okay. You settled. You're short. This is the best you could do, and I'm happy for you. But where the fuck do you get off? These motherfuckers trying to accuse me of pandering to women when I could take. This sounds so self-aggrandizing. This is not even me because I'm not this player type dude. But I just know that if you and I were in a room and we both decided we want a girl, you're not getting her. And you call me a panderer? Whatever. So it's just more along this motif where Snoop Dogg is now saved and he's trying to appeal. I don't even know if he's trying to appeal. This might be a genuinely how he feels, but sir, that's not evolution. That's hypocrisy. Because evolution would say, okay, I do feel this way, but I have to understand where the kids are coming from, what's selling, and is it their job to be a role model? All the shit that I accused people of when I was singing Murder was the case that they gave me. You know what I mean? Like, so he and any other nigga. And then, of course, he ain't have shit to say, again, about Throat Baby. I know he heard that shit. But ain't shit to lead to an imagination there. But it's always on the women. So I'm not here for that shit. And come on, Uncle Snoop, do better. And Tyler Perry has announced that he is single. He broke up, or I don't know if he broke up with her. It really doesn't matter. But they are now broken up. His longtime girlfriend and I think mother of his child, perhaps, because they said they're focusing on being loving parents. I don't know if they had a kid together or she had kids. I don't know. Point is, there's a child involved. And he posted something. Twitter niggas are disrespectful. He posted something where he's like, after X amount of years, I'm single, don't know what to do with myself. And he's posted up. He's got his beard on. Look like he just worked out. He's got a shirt on, but it looks like he's got a decent pony. He looked good for a 50-year-old guy or whatever. And somebody in the comments retweeted it. He's like, if you're a billionaire and you got no hoes, it's your fault. It's facts though. But what was surprising, the plot twist I didn't expect, was Auntie Twitter showed out, and there were like a couple of bad 49-year-olds. Like, at first, I wouldn't believe they were 49. Second of all, I wouldn't care because I will knock the dust. And they were casually and classically shooting their shots. I'm 49 too. I agree. This is a new part of life. Call me or DM me or whatever. Just casually shooting their shot at Tyler Perry. And on the one hand, I was like, all right. But on the other hand, I'm like, women are hilarious, dude. Like, y'all know this man is gay. Like, y'all know it. And I don't say that slander. There's nothing wrong. I just honestly, truly wish he would live in his truth. But y'all know he gay. And the only reason y'all are doing this is because I guess you're not gay anymore if you're a billionaire. Or you're just willing to be a beard. Or maybe you also might be with the because there are women out there who like bi men, who like to who either celebrate them, or it's just a non-issue, or they like to engage in bisexual and again, that's their lives. But if we make an assumption, and I know what assumptions are, given that most black women especially, while they may like and tolerate gay men as friends or, you know, go to drag shows and everything like that, they typically don't want to date them for whatever reason. That it might be the stigma of the possibility of STDs. It might be just another set of people to be competition with. It's bad enough I gotta fight these women for a man, now I gotta fight men too. I can't compete. Whatever it may be. Whatever insecurity or just preference it is. That's a prevalent thing among black women. I can't even tell you how many times black women will ask me. And I thought it was me at first, because that's what you do. You internalize it when, like, gay niggas hit on me all the fucking time, and I just realized, no, they're gay and they like me. It's got nothing to do with what I did. And then two, women will ask, oh, have you ever done this? And I'm like, and you know, when you heard it the first time, you assume that they're calling you gay, or they think that there's something effeminate or whatever about you. But then you realize, no, but they've run into down low dudes who they had no reason to suspect it before, and they just don't want to go down that road again. So you can't really get mad at them asking you. A little shocked sometimes, but it is what it is. That's and that happens to me more than they'll ask me my middle name, what I do for work, what my favorite color is. So you figure that. And again, I'm dating women mostly my age group, but this has been happening since my early 20s. I'm 35 now. And even older women, you know, who are right on that cusp of either now or never, or they're accepting they're not going to be moms and just hoping to be married or something like that, they'll ask you, because again, they're trying to get married in 2 to 3 business weeks, so they don't got time to waste. They'll flat out ask you. They won't care. So to see this many women come out and act like this wasn't a thing, I'm like, billionaires hit different then, which is funny to me. I mean, I get it, but it's also still funny to me because they'll sell themselves that life if it means they're taken care of. And then, so one dude came on there and said, well, look at Oprah. I'm like, yeah, look at Oprah. Oprah's with Stedman. Allegedly. You know, people still think, and I don't know shit about Oprah, but I would not be surprised if she was actually gay. But even if she's not, like, niggas are savages. If niggas will date these women who are not classically attractive or morbidly obese or otherwise vulnerable just for their tax money, then yes, they would be at Oprah's neck. Fuck Stedman. The reason why they're not with Oprah is two reasons. One, they can't get within 10 feet of Oprah because I feel like Oprah is just not out in these streets. And then two, they still wouldn't want to. Because Oprah is not what many people would consider classically attractive to a wide variety. Her money is. But for the most part, niggas don't. You would have to be Oprah level for a nigga to really consider it and staying there. And I never hear niggas plotting on Oprah. I don't really go to Oprah's Twitter, but I don't see niggas in her DMs, you know, lusting after her. And niggas are savages. So money hit different if you don't have a Y chromosome. So it is what it is. What is that? Tyler Perry. Hypotheticals. Let's get to that. So there is a clip on the internet by Miss Grenaway, and funny thing is, I followed her because I followed her for a while. I don't know how long because she's just an IG baddie. And before I start this, I don't mean to say that if you're fine or a model or whatever that you can't have opinions and that your opinions can't be worthwhile and valued, even if they're in total contrast with my worldview or anything like that. What I am saying though is a lot of times people get mics and don't think shit through. And if you're like me, before I even talk to other people, it's not so much I'm thinking things through for the sake of being smart. It's just I argue with myself, so I don't want to be feeling stupid. But if I do start something raw, like if a topic that I have never considered or anything, and I'm doing on the podcast or just in a conversation with people, I make it plain. I'm like, well, let's talk through this. Like I'm feeling shit out. I'm not committed to a position yet, and I'll flesh it out largely based on, at least my initial position, based on this conversation. Too many people jump on the internet or in a podcast, whatever it may be, willing to die on this hill that they just arrived on. And that shit boggles my mind. And a lot of times, they're IG honeys. And we saw with Erica Mena with her vaccine stance, and that's how this shit started with, anti-vax predated Jenny McCarthy, but a lot of soccer moms and housewives jumped onto this train because of what she said. So, in that, let's listen to Ms. Granaway and her take on what happens when she's getting picked up for a date and her expectations of black men.
Just way out of pocket. And this is what we talking prenuptials and shit. On the first date, I had to get my daughter something to eat before he took me out. So I was like, can you run me by the McDonald's real quick because I'm running behind. Woo. We get to McDonald's. All she got was her classic, a milkshake, 4-piece nugget, and a small fry. When the lady at the window asked for the bread,
like, where's that?
Yeah.
Nigga, you said run me through McDonald's real quick so we can. Yeah, nigga, you gonna pay for it.
I'm sorry. Okay. I think that's the already. That was the first problem.
That ain't no problem.
At that moment,
That's your problem.
look, and it was at that moment. Now I had the
You
bread,
should pay for the.
and I even asked him did he want anything. But look, it was at that moment that I knew you were never getting this pussy.
Because he ain't paid for your daughter food.
Fuck you on the first
Okay,
date.
so honestly, I ain't gonna lie to you. My boss
You
was
might
here,
have-
knew I was having a sleepover for my daughter. He was like, "Oh, that's what you doing? I'll order her pizza."
That's why most of relationships they cheat
But
on
like,
you.
no,
That's why most
it's not.
relationships they cheat on you with somebody at work because of shit like that.
No,
I'm gonna pay for the daughter.
From a man.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that with this bird ass argument, and I say that as a bird argument. I'm not calling her a bird. I think she's going to submit you guys' opinion of her in another clip I'm going to play in a minute. But there's something you need to understand. All right, what she did here, like, I don't even understand where she got the audacity to say this, because I see women sneak dissing other women all the time, where they'll be like, I can't stand another bitch who's in designer heels and shoes and eating steaks and shit, and her kid is bummy and not wearing brand name and eating oodles and noodles. And I don't understand how you chicks be the same women throwing that shade that sneak this, but then want to judge a man for not feeding your kid McDonald's when he's already taking your ass out on a fucking date. Like, where the fuck do you get off? Like, I don't understand that. And then I'm not trying to open it up where like, okay, because then there are chicks who have the audacity to say, oh, well, if I go out to dinner with you at this nice restaurant, then I need to order a second meal to bring home to my kid. Because you are a fucking parent. And if you have a child, why are you just now thinking about what they're going to eat while you're gone? Because you probably had to arrange childcare, and I'm assuming, because I don't know her or her kids, but if you got a McDonald's Happy Meal and that's it, then this kid can't be all that big, okay? So that means, I'm assuming that you needed childcare, told somebody to watch your kid. When you're arranging that childcare, how is the immediate next thought, okay, what are you going to eat over here? Are they coming to my house? Do I have food in the house? Or am I taking them over there? Are you going to eat with this family or whoever's cooking? Or do I need to give you guys money to order a pizza? Whatever the fuck it may be. All this shit not banged out prior to this date and covered by you. Because we've even seen the other hypotheticals where women say that, oh, I'm a single mom. Yeah, I love that meme. Oh, women who pay X amount of money a month ain't interested in this, that, and the third. It's like we ain't been paying money a month all day, every day. But we supposed to be interested in you because you're pretty? The fuck? So, you've had to pay for this childcare, or plot twist, you probably did, and you got grandma or a cousin or somebody to watch a kid, and they're already doing you a freebie, so you couldn't get them food? Like, or you didn't even think about it? Now, I did get into a discussion with my homegirl Siobhan, who, fair disclosure, she is fine as fuck, so I entertained the conversation longer than I would have a lot of other people. That's just me being trash. But she made some good points, and she's up in the New York Tri-City area, so just for logistics consideration. And she was saying that, you know, I would have done the same thing, because if I'm going out on a date and I got a kid at home, especially if it's like a Friday or Saturday where who knows when I'm going to be home, I want to make sure that there's extra food in the house. So even if I have already cooked, or if I provided food, you know, for whatever reason, give them money to order DoorDash or McDonald's or whatever it is, I'm going to ask them, I'm like, hey, do you want anything else while I'm gone? Because I don't want to get back late and there not be, you know, you be worrying about me. And then if the kid asks for something specific, I'm going to go get it. But it could be far if we're in this area where not everybody has cars and he's coming to pick me up. Yeah, because I'm not going to pay DoorDash X amount of, like $30 for $8, $6. I don't even know how much a Happy Meal costs anymore. Whatever it is. Okay, so that makes sense and everything. But if that's the case, why don't you have your cash out? Because you're getting in a car with him. You know you're going to be in the passenger seat. You're going to ask him, hey, before we go head out on the night, on the town, can we make this stop because I need to do this? Whatever. And have the cash out and make him say, I got it, sweetheart, or whatever. Why is this still a test that you're giving this man? And then two, let's get into the other element where she said, I knew right then he was never getting this pussy. Why are you leveraging the pussy over a fucking Happy Meal? And then see, women will gaslight you and act like, oh, we're trash because we won't even pay X amount of for a Happy Meal. No. That's not the issue. Because a nigga like me, if you did this to me, I'm judging you now. I'm looking at you as far as how much more I want to deal with, because you're either trying to finesse me or you are a negligent mom. Either one of those shits is a turn off. So now my question is, how bad are you and how bad do I want to smash? And that's going to determine how much more I'm going to put up with you, and then how where my mind is at as far as any kind of future with you. And if you find I'm going to try and fucking, I'm going to ghost you. It's just what's going to happen, because what the fuck else I'm going to do with you? If you play these kind of games. Like now, honestly and truly, what am I supposed to do? And I'm not saying you're a bad person or anything, but it's just like, women forget that a first date is an audition for you, just like it's an audition for me. And you're making this Happy Meal about your vagina. So you're the one establishing a quid pro quo. That if I had bought this Happy Meal for your kid and wine and dine you to this amount, I would have smashed. When I'm thinking that if we establish a connection, and don't get me wrong, I know there's niggas out there who think that if I pay money for you, you owe me. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, I know that this is as far as I can take it for you, so I'm changing my gear. This is where I'm trying to go with you. And if I don't get it, I'm going to cut my losses. It is what it is. I'm not saying, oh, I bought you the Happy Meal, run me the pussy. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you have showed me that this is all that I can expect from you. So I'm cutting my losses. But your women will gaslight you. Oh, you niggas can't even buy her a Happy Meal. It had nothing to fucking do with that shit. Nothing to do with it. And I don't understand this line of thinking. I didn't.
From a man's perspective, some of us just way out of
I was a young pussy. What do you mean?
Bullshit.
No,
On the first date,
what it is.
I had to get my daughter something to eat before he took me out. So I was like, can you run me by McDonald's real quick because I'm running
Fuck your
behind.
boss up.
I don't know what. Okay,
Get some
listen.
McDonald's. All
It's,
she got was
it's overlapping
classic, a milkshake, 4
Trying
piece
to play
nuggets,
this.
and a small.
on
Hey, dog.
online. But yeah, so some of her responses were, as a man, your first date, your job is to impress her with your kindness and generosity. Get the fuck out of here, because you know who else says kindness and generosity? Hookers. I'm not saying men shouldn't be kind and generous. What I'm saying is that is what hookers put on their ads, or sugar babies put in their ads, to avoid the law, to not say that they have asked for X amount of dollars for pussy. They say, oh, this, an hour of my time is worth X amount of roses. Or I'm looking for a kind and generous man for a mutually beneficial relationship. That's code for be rich and be willing to give me money and I'll let you touch it. That's what that is, okay? You don't get to tell me I'm not a gentleman. I'm driving to you. I've set aside time. I planned out a date for you. I told you be ready at X amount of time. Gave you foresight. Why isn't your house in order? And even if, okay, don't get me wrong, I date single moms. I love single moms. So it's like, I understand shit happens. Like, you know, you run over at work, or the kid's sick, or try to find somebody your childcare flakes, so you try to make something going on, or you didn't have time to cook that, or this burnt. I get that, so I can be flexible. Oh, okay, yeah, let's go get this out the way so we can go have a good time and everything like that. That's not a problem. It's the entitlement. And we can pick up on the vibes too, versus, oh, you just assuming I'm going to do this because I want the chance to keep talking to you, maybe touch your body, or you know, this is an extension of the free food nigga. Now it's a free food for my homegirls and my kids. Like, get the fuck out of here. We can sense that shit too. And I already knew what she was on because that's the first thing she said. I knew he wasn't getting this pussy. Like, who even brought this up? If I thought I could get your pussy for a Happy Meal, if I wanted to get up in your McRibs, I'm not taking you out on no date. I'm taking you to McDonald's. The fuck? I don't understand these chicks, man. It's just random. Yeah, and this next guy even said, why do you guys think you're the only ones that have to be impressed on a date? Like this shit, that, and nothing is single moms aren't a turn off for me. Bad single moms are a turn off for me, meaning that they don't care what their kid is going on, you know what I mean? Or you know, they got baby father drama, which they can't entirely control all the time, but they encourage this shit. You know what I mean? Like, because it makes them feel wanted. It makes them feel like they have the upper hand over somebody. That shit ain't sexy, and I don't want no parts of it. I mean, I might beat, but that's about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how you spend all day not even thinking about this. And if you did think about it, then I would have been more inclined to the conversation going, hey, so I need to get this for my kid, but I'm not going to have time to do it before you because I ran late from work. Can you bring something? I'll pay you here when you get here. At which point, okay, what do you want me to order? Grab the food, give it to you, and then you try to get the money. He goes, no, don't worry about it, man. Let's go. That could have happened. And then he could have scored those points, but he's still doing you a fucking favor. How did this go from doing me a favor to, oh, this is how I know he's not for me. Whatever, because you are a chicken head looking to get off what you can get. And if that didn't prove it, let's go to this clip. Where'd it go? I'm about to be really upset if they just deleted my thing. They did. They're on the same podcast. They were asking her if she had. The subject came on abortions, and I know I got a notification on this. I'll see if I can find it. But basically, what she said, I'll paraphrase it in the event that I can't find it. That they were saying that she only smashes with dudes who are raw, or she'll only fucking do raw if he can handle the consequences or the smoke, as she put, behind fucking raw. Meaning that if she wants to keep it, then he can handle that, or if she wants to get rid of it, then he can handle that. And when I say handle that, not necessarily the implications and everything, I'm talking about the money. And then the dude, her co-host, asked her, have you had any abortions? To which point, she was like, several. Now, a lot of the girls in the comments were upset that, or not even upset, but like just shocked and appalled that she would just say it, because she did look mad proud of it. And again, this is, my opinion has nothing to do with the fact that she has had an abortion or that she has had several abortions, because I am pro-choice as hell. I don't necessarily agree with the actual act of abortion or the way it's used by many people as a, you know, get out of jail, or just their first consideration for birth control. But what I will never do is argue against a woman's right to choose, because at the end of the day, it's a health issue. It's her body. And just like in the live cast where I was talking about, which again I'll post, but you guys owe it to yourselves to go watch that, talking about the autonomy of a husband to donate his sperm if he so chose. I'm not about to tell a woman what to do with her body. And should the Handmaid's Tale come to pass, I will fight and die if necessary for women's right to be women in this world. So I don't care that she said that, but what struck me is that I got the distinct impression that she meant, oh, well, if you want to fuck raw and I get pregnant, I don't want it, you paying for it. Bitch, can you handle the consequences of fucking raw? No. And then the fact that you said you've had several abortions means, because she says she don't fuck no nigga who can't handle it. So that tells me that if you're not full of shit, you fucked raw before, you've gotten pregnant, you've gotten the abortions, they handled it for you. They paid for it. So where is your responsibility in all this? Where is your accountability in all? And it just goes to show this mindset, this entitlement of where and what women expect to do just for the sake of the fact that they're women and they're pretty and you're a man and you do this. The fuck out of here. And that goes back to the Kevin Samuels dude, like niggas ain't dealing with that. Top flight niggas ain't dealing with that. So, yeah, I don't know. Hypotheticals are always funny to me because I don't understand why this is the content. Relationships should be determined based on compatibility. Like, are you good for each other? But we oftentimes can't even get to that point because we jumping over hoops of who served, did your man serve you, or who eats first before the husband or the kids, or y'all niggas never gonna have to worry about these problems because you're never gonna get married, at least not in a healthy relationship, if you can't get over the petty bullshit, man. Like, who wants to be married if you have to constantly play these games? I don't. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate marriage. It's just like, I'm not doing all that. And it also goes to show that niggas have let her get away with this because she didn't wake up overnight like this. And she is a baddie. And it just goes to show what niggas will allow. And not when I say niggas, I mean collectively, like people. People will let beautiful people get away with a lot more shit than less classically attractive people. I keep saying that shit. But, yeah, because I refuse to believe that she would have this attitude, or no, if she did, we'd be even more puzzled if she was a struggle face with a bad body. And I'm guilty of this shit. You know, I've definitely put up with, I won't say disrespect, but less than civil vibes from prettier girls figuring that, oh, okay, it's just what she does to get niggas off. You know, we rationalize it. Oh, she plays hard to get because every nigga want her, I gotta work hard. No, I wouldn't have thought twice about this kind of disrespect from somebody I wasn't less attracted to. And it comes down to even trivial shit. Like, there's a shorty on my Facebook who repeatedly steals memes and writes them out as her own status. And I don't understand it because she's got a bunch of friends. And I know they all see this too. But it's so blatant that it's somebody else's status. But we just let her cook because that ass is out of this world. It is. But I'm torn into other people about this shit, so. What is that? My toxic trait? Yeah, that's me. Let's talk about TV. So I've been recently binging Lovecraft Country. I started it before these last couple times that I got thrown in Facebook jail. I typically watch series after most people just because I try to avoid, that's how I avoid spoilers. If you guys are talking about it, I don't get too invested in your thread. So even if you say something, I won't know what it is. And by the time I go watch the show, I've forgotten about it. Or two, if I know that the subject matter is, I won't say deep, but requires a critical eye or somebody who can understand and dissect imagery and stuff like that, a lot of times I'll watch it after other people. One, to keep my palate clean, because I don't want your opinions to become my opinions. And then two, I don't, like I told you, I don't block people, and I just don't block people. Pretty much if I have room on my friends that you can come here, and because of that, there are a lot of idiots on my page with stupid takes on shit. And in a vacuum, if I haven't done the subject, the required reading or viewing the show, I'm going to assume that they're talking about it and they know what they're talking about. And that'll turn me off from the show if what they're saying is in fact so stupid that I know not to watch the show, or if it sounds good and I go watch it, this is not what somebody with any common sense would have gotten from the show, and now I'm looking at you crazy. So Yeah, that's another reason why I wait. But the other reason is because I forgot what other show I did. Oh, it was that one where it was like a reality show on Netflix where the people were all in this building and they were in these rooms and they were talking to each other through a screen and they played matchmaker and people were hooked on it. And I was like, I'm not watching this bullshit unless people send me nudes, and people were sending me nudes up for every episode. I didn't finish it though, so the news stopped. But the news would have kept going. I just got into Facebook jail back to back and people stopped caring. But because people like my reactions to shit, some of my Facebook friends were asking me to live post my reactions to shit that was happening, and because they told me that something crazy was happening like every few minutes in Lovecraft Country that they would love. So that's where I'm at now. And I've gotten all the way up through episode 6, and it's a lot. I'm not even going to try and talk about it right now. Like, it's a lot. Like, Jesus fuck Christ. This is a beautiful, black as fuck show, but it's also wild as fuck, fam. In every sense of the word. When you first watch it, you're going to think, what kind of pothead made this show in like the first 5-10 minutes? And then after that, it's going to be like, oh, this shit is raw. And then, oh, you went here. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, or when I say worse, I mean like any more shocking, oh, yeah, it is. But it's massively written. The dialogue is awesome. The acting is phenomenal. And I'm excited to finish the series. So if you guys haven't watched it, it is well worth your show, well worth your time. Then if you feel like it's too deep for you, like, because it does start kind of slow, I'm going to say like the first 30-40 minutes of the first episode. But if you don't know, if you're one of those people who's watching it who knows that, okay, this is decent, but I just don't get what's going on and it's too much for me, there is a companion podcast which seems like more work. I haven't listened to it yet because, again, I like to watch things for my own opinion, then go listen to other people's. But from what I understand, they break down the imagery of everything that it's almost like the director's cut, where they talk about all the motifs that were presented in there, so you might have missed things like Easter eggs or references to Black history and stuff like that it'll be worthwhile. That's how dope the show is. So yeah, if y'all haven't watched it yet, please make sure you watch it, and I'll do a wrap up once I'm finishing it. But that's what I'm on now. But a core theme of Lovecraft is the existence of magic. And for those of you who don't know, tomorrow, because today is the 20th, 7 o'clock on the 20th actually, that is black people, melanated people, are supposed to get superpowers. Now, I've heard various reports that if you're mixed, you're not going to get any, which is funny to me because a lot of you gatekeepers are going to find out, if that was the case, that y'all ain't going to get no superpowers either, because very, very, very few black-born Americans are pure black. You're all mixed at some point. We're all mixed at some point. So, yeah, good luck with that. But if there's no gatekeeping to this, yeah, we're supposed to get powers at the stroke of midnight, I guess. I'm not going to stay up and check, but I know when I first wake up, I'm going to do a force power check, which I was doing anyway. Like, at least weekly, I check to see if I have the force, or if I can do spider sense or something like that. And all I got to say is, to quote my man Cervantes that's not his real name, he's just one of my Facebook friends. If I wake up with the Sharingan, it's over for a lot of you niggas. Like just understand that. But yeah, it better not be something. You know, it'd be kind of like dope if it was the My Hero Academia universe, which if you guys don't watch that, you need to, where only a small part of the population doesn't have some kind of what's called a quirk or a superpower, but there's not all quirks are created equal. There's some people who just grow hair hella long. There's some people who have turned into like centaurs. There are other people who've got like ray beams and can make explosions and then super strength and everything like that. So not everybody's created equal. So that's the only thing I could see coming out of that. But yeah, that'd be fucking dope. Do I think it's gonna happen? No. This all started behind some hoteps arguing over the COVID vaccine, about how they're trying to nullify our DNA and everything like that, because we're supposed to, and I think this also has something to do with the horoscope or position of the stars, something in retrograde. I don't fucking know. It's idiot Twitter, and got to talking, and then everybody else ran with it because it was a funny thing to think about, that we might get superpowers. But it would be lit. It would be lit, because shit would change around this motherfucker. But it's not. The Mandalorian wrapped up the season, and I'm going to give a slight spoiler, because I'm not going to talk about everything that happened, but people were upset. And when I say people, I mean the super nerds, because I love The Mandalorian. My only complaint is I feel like the episodes should be longer, but that's just a testament of it being that good. And I'm glad to hear that the main actor Pedro Pascal, he also played Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones, but he plays Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. He finally set the rumors that he was upset and threatening to walk off the show because they wouldn't give him FaceTime because the Mandalorian's creed about not taking his helmet off. Number one, so I'm glad that season 3 doesn't appear to be any jeopardy. I think the only thing in jeopardy about the Mandalorian was that Gina Carano's character was supposed to get a spin-off, but because of her anti-vax and pro-Trump and all this shit stances, they're telling her to either apologize or she might not get it. I honestly don't care either way. I like Gina as a fighter, and she's been retired, and I want to see her make it as an actress, even though she has her moments and then other times she's not. But I really don't care too much beyond that. But yeah, Luke Skywalker showed up at the end, and that pissed people off because evidently they're upset that, I guess the appeal to the Mandalorian for them was that this was like a whole new standalone Star Wars. It was the Star Wars universe, but it didn't rely on a lot of the tropes that Disney or Lucasfilm relied on to make Star Wars great. That it was forging a new path with new characters. That it was, it's good in its own right, and that because Luke is there now, that it's gonna trivialize Din Djarin's storyline, which I think is fucking stupid. I mean, definitely that's a risk for it to go there. We've seen that happen with the canon, former canon, Star Trek arc with Rey and Ben Solo, where that's all been retconned, meaning that it's not going to be canon anymore. But Rey just became this character who, through minimal training in the Force, she was beating all the strongest Sith and had all these powers and all this other shit, and just kind of took over, kind of like Ms. Marvel's character. The character was at its zenith immediately. So where is there to go? So, but that it hasn't happened, and there's no reason, especially with Kevin Feige and the people who were involved in the Mandalorian, to think it would happen. But this makes sense. So they're just upset at the mere appearance of Luke, and then not only that, because they CGI'd Luke's face to make him look younger. Because I thought that this was taking place 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, but evidently it's only 3 or 5 years, something like that. I think it's 5 years after the fact. So you got to remember what Luke looked like in 1970 whatever when Return of the Jedi came out. So yeah, they digitally enhanced his face to make him look young, kind of like what they did for Princess Leia. So yeah, now my only complaint with Luke was that he didn't get into his lightsaber bag. Now, when I say that, because when the 70s came out, when the Star Wars movies came out, those lightsaber fights were iconic because one, nobody's ever seen no shit like this before. But since then, fight scenes in cinema, and not even just on cinema, on fucking YouTube, you got these guys who do amateur lightsaber twirling, and there's tournaments, lightsaber fencing tournaments, where they basically show off their moves and everything like that. So I would have liked to have seen more intricate lightsaber work from Luke when he busted onto the ship and everything, killing the Dark Troopers. But at the same time, if that was actually Mark Hamill swinging it, I mean, he's an older guy, so you can't really expect too much out of him. But like I said, there were plenty of scenes where it was dark and you couldn't see who it was. So there would have been plenty of chances for a stuntman to get it, kind of like what was going on with Ahsoka Tano, a.k.a. Rosario Dawson, playing her, where I can appreciate. I think Rosario did all her own saber work, and it showed that there was more continuity in the scene. But you could also see that, one, she wasn't the most talented with a twirler, but she's better than most people. And then two, that's another reason why these same super nerds were upset, because for those of you who don't watch Star Wars, I do apologize right now, but Ahsoka has these little tails coming out of her head on the front, and on the cartoons and in the animated series, they're very long. But because Rosario's wearing like a headdress, like a prosthetic, trying to wear those and do lightsaber fights does not work. They get in the way. So it makes sense to shorten them. And of course, the super nerds, that's not accurate, they're supposed to be longer. So that's what I'm saying. These super nerd virgin ass motherfuckers are never going to be satisfied. This is why they don't deserve nice things. But I was juiced at the end of it. I can't wait till the next season. Like I said, I hate that the episodes were short and we only got 8 of them. But I'm riveted. I can't wait for the next one. And then again, Star Wars just announced a shit ton of other content that's supposed to come out in addition to the Marvel Universe that's coming out. So Disney is going to keep us entertained for quite some time. Going from that galaxy, a long time ago, far, far away, to our current debacle, the Space Force has officially decided what the members of it will be called. Now, for those of you who have never served in the military or just don't know that not everybody in the military is a soldier, every branch has a specific name for their members. So the Army troops are known as soldiers. Marine Corps troops are known as Marines, among other things. Crayon eaters, but whatever. The Navy has sailors or seamen, which is hilarious because they wear white uniforms, but I'm childish, so let's move forward. And the Air Force has airmen. And not only that's not like just a nickname, it even goes into the rank. Like, the pay scales, if you ever look up a military pay scale for the enlisted ranks, there's E1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which tells their pay, how much they pay, and then officers is O, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. But they have different common names for each service. So a brand new troop in the military will be, not the military, in the Army will be a private. Whereas in the Air Force, it'll be an airman. And in the Navy, it'll be a seaman. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So, with that, the newly minted Space Force, because we absolutely needed that to happen. That's sarcasm for those of you who can't see my face. They have decided, and Pence announced this, that they will be known as the Guardians, which I'm pretty sure everybody could see that coming. In fact, I think we were clowning them with that before, calling them Guardians, but now it's official. And on top of that, their symbol, to the casual observer, looks like an upside-down Pontiac Motors emblem. It's almost identical. So for those of you more in the know, kind of like me, because I used to be in the Air Force and in the space and missile career field, that triangle kind of looks like the launch control switches on the nuclear launch control center. It also can be argued that it could be a MIRV, which is a reentry vehicle that nuclear warheads actually come back in when we shoot them. Or it could be just a radar display symbol for a flying object. Who knows? A spacecraft of some sort. I don't know what the exact origin of the thing is, so I'm content to let you guys have it and call it the upside down Pontiac. But this is the wackest shit ever, and yeah, I miss being in the military, but I'm glad I'm not in the fucking Space Force. It's fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. Get the fuck out of here, weirdos. Yeah, couldn't be any more lamer. It was totally unnecessary to create a fourth branch. Well, technically, hold on. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. Because technically everybody considers the Marine Corps a branch of the military, even though technically they belong to the Navy. And then the Coast Guard is its own thing too. So now 6. Yeah. Now you've got the fucking Space Force. And the Coast Guard can't be any more happy that now they have someone to make fun of. So, yeah. Shout out to the Coasties. Where are we at? I think we kind of touched on it earlier with the COVID vaccine, but now there's a new, I won't say a news story because I saw this on the Hotep, being shared by Hoteps, or at least for a month now. But people are concerned about, and this is a Forbes, where did it go? I just had this shit open. They're concerned that the vaccine will increase people's chance of contracting HIV. Which is nonsense. But there is a legitimate article published by Forbes, which kind of explains it. So what I'll get into is this: when people are making antivirals or vaccines designed to inoculate and prevent the transmission of a virus, they basically use a virus against itself. They will use an attenuated or otherwise weakened version of the same virus, and then alter that virus's cellular genetic code, and then inject it into you. So now it's weak, so you're not going to get the full virus. And then 2, what it does is it tells your body, hey, this is what the real germ looks like. So if you see anything that kind of looks like this, kill it before it infects us. That's one way of doing it. Another way is they will take a virus that has nothing to do with what you're trying to vaccine against, but this virus is so effective at infecting and propagating itself that we're going to take the part of that virus that makes it so transmissible and so easily to replicate, but we're going to take out the bad stuff that make you sick and put in our own stuff to, again, clue you into anything that might look like this, which is what they're doing now. And a common virus that they use as a vector is called an adenovirus. And the adenovirus itself is pretty much harmless, and it has the capacity to cause the common cold, but that's about it. So that's one of the most common vectors that they do this kind of messenger RNA type thing to inoculate people. But what they've decided to do now is use the HIV virus, because we all know that the HIV virus is very effective at infecting and replicating itself, and the body won't even detect it. So they're trying to use that for COVID because of I think they just found a new strain in London, and they blocked, as of this morning or last night, they blocked London now because they have a confirmed new strain of COVID-19. So they want to use the HIV virus. However, this has been tried before, not just with COVID, but with another time where they were trying to manipulate HIV to do it. And the concern was that this could increase someone's risk for contracting HIV. They haven't exactly said how, though. I've read numerous articles about this. And even Fauci signed off and said, hey, my concern is that this could lead to a higher contraction of HIV, but he didn't specifically say high based on any kind of science thing. What he said was that the people who are most this vaccine will be deployed oftentimes to areas where HIV is already prevalent and may affect a certain population more than others. And if we're giving them this vaccine, there is a chance, because we haven't tested it fully and everything, there is a chance that while it's making a vaccine for the targeted disease that we're trying to vaccinate against, because it works so well, that the body might also not fight off initial encounters with HIV, because just because you got exposed to HIV doesn't mean you're going to get it. Sometimes it doesn't, it doesn't take. So the concern was that because we're using that, it could theoretically make you more susceptible to getting HIV. Not that the shot itself is going to result in you getting HIV. But of course, people don't read, and that's the concern. And the crazy part is, he wrote, this was years ago that he wrote that, and he said we need to study it further. And now, of course, COVID-19, they're going back to that same science. But it's been used elsewhere. I saw on Dateline, I want to say a month or two ago, where scientists have used a weakened form of the HIV virus to help a woman recover from sickle cell. And before, she couldn't do any kind of physical activity. She was bedridden, and then within a month, she's out here running and running well. So I do think that this is the future of medicine, using what has all but been a scourge to the world, let alone to black people and people of color. And that is the future of medicine. But if you just go by the headline that, if they take the vaccine, you're likely to get AIDS, and people don't read, it's going to sound like they're one and the same. And that's not it. So I encourage people to do your research, but no, just read about it and understand that it's about time we made something out of this. Right before I started the pod, I saw a stupid ass article that, how they talk about beating a dead horse, but it's got to be to the point where they don't think this horse is dead. And then I wonder what the aim of this is. And it's basically saying 50 years of tax cuts for the rich have failed to trickle down. Alright, so 50 years ago it's 2020 now, so that's 1970. Alright, now Reagan wasn't the first and obviously Reagan was the president to the 80s, but Reagan wasn't the first, but he coined the term, the actual term trickle down economics, I believe. Hold on, let me Google that before I say that. But Reagan widely is known as a proponent, a major advocate for trickle down economics. Let me see. Who invented trickle down economics? Oh, it was a joke. It started out. So this is supposed to be an insult, but motherfuckers think it's legit. But the article I saw had Reagan on there, and I just think it's funny that, conservatives, meaning people who identify with the purest ideals of the Republican Party, whenever they try to express the fact that they aren't racist, they point to two figures in the conservative party as to what they stand for and how anti-racist they are. The first of which is Abraham Lincoln, the guy who allegedly freed the slaves. And I hate it. Well, I love it when they do it because it gives me an opportunity to slap them in the face with it. But I hate the real mindset behind it because they think it was because these guys freed the slaves that he's been the Republican Party from he founded the Republican Party, that we've always been for black people. Never mind the fact that when Lincoln made his little fancy speech, the Emancipation Proclamation, the South had already said fuck y'all and didn't give a shit about anything he had to say. That's why the Civil War was being fought, because they said they didn't want to be part of the Union anymore. So who did he actually free? Not a damn body. Nobody. And then two, in his written correspondence with with a member of Congress, I believe it was a member of Congress. Is it a member of Congress or a close personal friend? But this is written. You can Google this shit, like on your own. He even said that he still thinks less of black people, that they don't belong with or deserve to live with white Americans. But, and honestly, if he could keep them slaves and preserve the Union, he would. But he doesn't see a way to do that. So this man still thinks like a white supremacist. He's just choosing between the lesser of two evils in his mind. But this is the guy that's supposed to be like, oh, we gave you your freedom like it was yours to fucking give. Get the fuck out of my face. And then, of course, there's Reagan, who, under Reagan, so many people got rich and prospered, and the American dream was in full effect, and we, started the war on drugs and kept on the Cold War to keep communists back in the 80s. But what was the war on drugs? The war on drugs is nothing more than a war on black and brown people. Okay? That's all it is. It was just another facet of the prison industrial complex that disproportionately affects us, had us in jail for life sentences for bullshit, for a lot of shit that white men are able to do legally to this day. And motherfuckers are still in jail over marijuana. And have been for decades, and some of them got life sentences. But now we're supposed to have sympathy for an opioid epidemic that's affecting white people. Of their own doing. That it's not Noriega or Escobar or whoever the fuck shipping that shit here. No, the prescription drug companies are the real reason for the opioid crisis, so-called opioid crisis, with their wanting prescriptions and throwing pills at any and everything, getting people hooked, and their doctors just being reckless with their prescription books. That's the cause of the opioid problem. With fentanyl, ain't no drug dealers been slinging fentanyl before. That's a pharmaceutical. And then, of course, while the war on drugs was decimating our communities, the rich were getting richer. Because the idea was that, and this is out of his mouth, that a big business does well, then that'll translate to the workers because they'll have more money to pay them. But that we both know that's not how business works. They hedge their profits, they reinvest in themselves, and they screw their workers over. So even in a recession, even in a pandemic, when the business should be doing its worst, these CEOs are getting record bonuses and then getting bailed out. So it's like, what is the purpose of keeping revisiting this? Like, we know this shit don't work. Who are they trying to convince? And it's almost like gaslighting. Like, are you expecting it to change? Like, why? So that's why when I hear conservatives, I say full of shit. And I'm not saying you can't be a conservative, but what exactly you consider? I don't understand broke Republicans, broke black Republicans, broke black conservatives. What the fuck are you trying to conserve? Fuck out of here. In more depressing news, Pornhub seems to have done a Thanos snap on some of our most near and dear amateur content is gone. Now, at the core of the issue, I understand why it had to happen, because a lot of people were using Pornhub and other tube sites as places to showcase them having committed sexual crimes, either incest or rape or statutory or molestation or flashing, whatever it may be. And, in real life, that's sex offense, but online, it's a fetish. So, because people were being victimized or revenge porn or whatever it may be, and Pornhub is one of the places where it's monetized because you can have a profile up there. It's almost like OnlyFans, where you can have people pay for your content or subscribe to you, stuff like that. a lot of the credit card companies were pulling out, meaning that their advertising money was going to be gone. So they finally folded and basically purged the site of anything that they couldn't verify, where it was either a professional studio that did it or that the participants were verified over 18 and consensual, shit like that. So a lot of that shit went gone. So, yeah. RIP to all y'all's favorite stabs out there. But on a final positive note, before I get out of here, the Negro League has been recognized as a major league. And while it may not mean anything, because I don't know if there are any members of the Negro League still alive. I mean, it stands to reason they might be. But what it does do is that a lot of records that were broken or set by Negro League players were not previously recognized now instantly overwrite some of the records, long-standing records that are in the MLB. Now, what I would like to see is some back pensions get paid out, but I don't think that's going to happen. But still, shout out to Black Excellence finally being put on the level and the footing that it needs to be on, because them boys can play now. All right, and it wasn't just Jackie Robinson; it was long before Jackie Robinson. So, but yeah, man, that's all I got this week. I thought it was gonna be quicker, but I went a whole hour and a half by myself. I do apologize for that. But again, I will also be posting the 3-hour conversation that I had with the lovely Romeo Washington. I'll also post a video once I get that ripped. But I have the audio, and you guys take your time. Hopefully, that's enough to get you through the week. And again, man, don't be shy. Hit me up if you want to be on the show. You can do that. If you just want me to address a question or a topic, send it in, whatever it may be. The show is nothing without you guys. Hold on, before I get out of here, let me see what the anchor stats are telling me. All right, let's check. So I've got 24 is my estimated audience based on just straight DSPs. This isn't YouTube and everything. Unique listeners, 19 in the last 7 days. I made a whole $1.73 doing this with my ad revenue, so yay. 99% of my followership is in the US. I've got a listener in Ireland, Nigeria, Germany, and UK, so shout out to y'all. And most of y'all are listening to me over Apple Podcasts, with Spotify bringing up next, and other being 24%. I don't know what those are. 54% male, 45% female, 1% not specified, and most of y'all are 35 to 44, with 28 to 34 bringing up the rear. So, thank y'all for listening to me rant and ramble. Again, I do this for the culture, to let y'all know what a nigga look now. I do this for y'all, man. I hope I'm entertaining you. I hope I'm giving you the content you want, need, deserve. And again, if there's anything else you want me to help you with will enable you to control your experience in your day-to-day, let me know. I just call it how I see it. But until next week, I hope you guys, maintain, have a good holiday, that your family is found well and in good health and good spirits, and that I know that the economy and people's jobs are in jeopardy, so try to find the joy in each other if you can't in your normal ways with the trees, stuff, and everything, because at the end of the day, COVID-19 should show us is that our health is all we got, and our family is not always here today, gone tomorrow. Otherwise, again, rest in peace to my friend Tiffany McDaniel. Shout out to Alan, one of my original listeners. If you guys have a chance, please donate to him and their daughter Hannah, with the GoFundMe that's set up. But until then, you guys have a good one.